Hi. Hi guys. First, oh my gosh, could you finally claiming your first back? Hello. How are you? Happy band. How was thy weekend? Okay, it's good to hear. How's wife doing? Is she feeling any better? Did your top tier doctoring skills help out? Also, before I forget, it's Tuesday, July 25th. We're playing Valorant. I'm excited, but I'm also scared. A little. That's good. At least she's slowly but surely getting better, which is the most important thing. Although getting sick in summer can be a little tricky. She's so sick though. R.I.P. Imagine getting sick. Couldn't be. I think getting sick is kind of just a skill issue, low key. For real, right? Because people who get sick just get a better immune system. But I mean, hey, everyone starts from somewhere, and it's good to hear that she's slowly getting better. How was your weekend though? Tell me if anything exciting happened. Unless nothing exciting happened, and you'll be like, nah, like it's just another weekend. Yeah, I'll be like, cool beans, coolio. What color should we use today? Maybe we should go with black, since we've been using white so much. Let's hope it doesn't like today. Nothing really happened. Honestly, I felt that. For it being like summer break, it's not really summering. Like summer's not really summering this year. Like, you know when you end school and then you plan on doing like so many like cool things during the summer, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna, what's it called? I'm gonna rock out this summer. I'm gonna go to like some parties. I'm gonna go to here and there, and then you just end up sitting in your house the like entire day. For real? Yeah. That's the worst part. And then you end summer, and then people are just like, oh my gosh, what do you do during the summer? You're just like, and you don't know what to say. It's easy, just pretend you went somewhere. They don't gotta know. Yeah, secrets. I hope today we actually win some games. What's up, home skillet? Hey, homeboy. What's up, the sky? Loki. Actually, the wall or the ceiling. How are you, Kazu? How was your weekend? Did anything exciting happen? Did you get out? Did you go to some ragers? Did you cause some mischief? I just mixed that up. Kuro, what's the craziest thing you've made up to make it seem like you actually did something exciting when you did it in reality? Where's the buddy? We got the noodle one. The noodle one's kind of cool. Should we'll put it on this one. So like we have the 2 rings. You already know me, just vibing. Yes, sir. Did you do anything exciting? Did you draw anything out of the ordinary? Did you take some kids' candy? Oh my gosh, I finally finished like the storyline in Genshin last night. It was actually so cool. The boss was a lot easier to fight in comparison to like other bosses, Kazu, but I finished most of the story and now I don't know how to feel. I told people I went to Japan so they would leave me alone. Didn't they ask you for like pictures and stuff like that? I feel like people would always ask, oh, you have pictures? Can I see? Can I do this, that? Nope. Really? Damn. Would you ever visit Japan, Kudo? You still keeping up with Genshin? Honestly, Kazu, Genshin's like... Genshin depends on the day. Low key. Have you been keeping up with Genshin? I don't play on my account much because I've been playing on a friend's account. That's the only like interaction I've been having with Genshin as of recently. Yep. Oh. What other places would you visit, Kudo? I have not. Honestly, good. Would you ever get back into Genshin, Kazu? Is it something that you see yourself like going back to? Or like playing again? Jason and I are planning to move there in like 6 years. Really? You guys will move to Japan? Do you know how to speak Japanese? Or are you gonna like learn how to speak Japanese? I didn't post a Discord thing. I'm so silly. I know how to speak it. Actually, how many languages do you know how to speak, Kudo? Damn. Nah, I'm mood. I also plan to move there later. Really? Why is everyone going to Japan? Where was my invitation? 4 or 5? Which ones? Damn. You're a polyglot. I take a Japanese classes right now. Really? Why are we all going to Japan? What's so special about Japan? I bet to move there when I'm 30. Oh, that's so cute.
Match found.
It's before you hit your midlife crisis. And then you hit your midlife crisis in like a new place and you don't know what you're doing or where you are, and then you're like what the... Let's play race. Let's have done. Why did this chronology happen like 10 minutes after she... Listen, Q. I completely forgot because you know how I normally do it and there's no like bot. Sometimes I remember and not a lot of the time I also forget. Today was also the day I forgot. So I'm just like, shit, I didn't do that. But hi, Charlie. How you doing? How was your weekend? Let's crack a lacking. I'm scared. Japanese, Spanish, English, French, Korean. You speak Korean? 안녕하세요. That's so cool. I only thought you spoke English and Spanish and French because it's a part of the school system. Understand. So yes, also taking out my headphones. If anything messes with the audio, you know the drill. You can just yell at me, but respectfully. Dang, only know English and Spanish. You know Spanish, Kazu? ¿Tú hablas español? Hola, ¿cómo estás? I'm doing good, weekend good. Actually didn't know it was the weekend.
Rush.
Oh, it's that. Bro. Cube? You losing track of time? Of course, MX. You are? That's crazy. On God, bro. Day by day, I get more and more surprised about the things Kazu tell me. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, shit. That's crazy. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Oh, shit. It's okay. Kazu, why'd you bait me? I didn't bait you. I guess how'd your weekend go? You baited yourself, Cube.
Joke's over. You're dead.
Oh god. Oh shit. Oh shit. Is this game too loud? How was your week, Big Cube? Let me ask you that question. It's a bit loud. Okay, yeah. Turn it down. Let me know if that's okay.
Honestly, it's impressive.
Heart? Together? Is that hand holding? I'm sorry, Kudo. No hand holding before marriage. Skull emojis have set to deployed. Oh my gosh, Kazu, my mom wanted to go to, what's it called? Mexico for summer. Oh shit. Haha, bitch. Siege!
How are you?
Thank you.
Thanks. Bomb buddy out.
I want her gun. What the fuck? You said it in a way that made me think it's weekend currently. How did I say it that made you think it was weekend?
Joke's over. You're dead.
Oh shit.
Last player
They're both
standing.
there. Man. I need to go to front with you guys. My head hurts. I actually never been to Mexico. Really? It's crazy in Mexico for real. Have you been to Mexico, Kudo? What do you recommend to do there?
Last round in the half.
Embarrassing. Your mom.
There. There.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not a child. I have? Oh my gosh. What's your favorite thing about Mexico? I visited Spain to similar vibes, more chaotic. In Mexico?
My ult ready.
What'd you do in Spain, Cube? Y'all traveling the world, goddamn. Oh shit. Oh. Oh. How'd you get back there? Side in it. Yeah, some parts are pretty, but overall the place is dangerous. Yeah. They said that. But like they're just at least my mom's friends. Then they said if you stay at the hotels, you should be safe.
Last player standing.
There's a restaurant that you can see the ocean from. That's my favorite. Isn't there a lot of restaurants like that?
One enemy remaining.
Or is this one special? Oh, oh, oh.
Good job, it's win.
Is he Ashley? Okay, no, your name's just in Japanese. Oh shit.
Switching sides.
Because there's not most countries though, I suppose, depending on the area. Maybe.
Close quarters unit online. Unit actually.
I guess it depends on like how, not really like populated, but also if it's like a poorer area. I can speak from like Jamaica, and I know in like poorer areas it's a bit more dangerous.
Spike planted.
Sage. Okay. Oh shit.
One enemy remaining.
But Mexico and Belgium are sussy. You've been to Belgium? Because of gangs. Can I, if you think I act nicely, do you think they'll let me in? Well, Spain's 18 kilometers away from Morocco. Oh, I don't know. There was just a boat ride. This one gives you free ice cream. Really? What'd she say? I'm gonna peek it. Just why do you? Oh, she's with a wood. Do you guys get seasickness?
Spike planted.
I heard if you drive around in cartel areas, you have to have your
player
windows
standing.
down. Really? Is it because they think you're a threat? I thought you'd have to do the opposite and drive with your windows up.
Match point.
I got robbed in Mexico. Oh no. That's no bueno. What'd they take?
Let's make them dance.
I heard you shouldn't drive in cartel areas. Yep. They're no good.
Who's next?
Bomb buddy out.
They're no bueno.
I'm out of here.
I'm on my way. No, they'll think you're a cop. Oh, like an undercover cop.
Spike planted.
Oh!
Grenade. We'll catch them.
Miss, protect me.
I love explosions.
My ult is ready.
That didn't escape though. Oh,
Sudden death.
for a second, my brain's just like, Dad? And I was just like, wait, what? But if you don't know cartel areas, you might just stumble upon them without a clue. Driving along your street, and next thing you know, there's a bunch of people staring at your car with like guns holstered to their pockets.
Careful here. Bring them down.
Oh,
Who's next?
Mom, don't rush in it.
Bring them down. Grenade.
He's scary.
Spike planted. Last player
Oh,
standing.
he's one of what? And if they do, it's over. GG's. Or even safer if you don't visit
Joke's
Mexico.
over. You're dead.
There's that. Or like just stay at like hotels. But then I also got scared because like last night I saw on TikTok they were like trying to open room doors. Like in hotel rooms. And I was just like, what? Brazil is also a hellhole in most places. Cube, how many places have you visited? Like, have you traveled to a lot of places? Guys, if I die by the end of the game, just know that just tell my children I love them. Only if you know family or friends, it's worth visiting, I suppose. Bro, what? Yeah. Huh? What happened, Kudo? What if we have imaginary friends? Not many places, just around Europe. Oh. But I know a lot of people that live in bad places. That makes sense. Would you like to visit any other places? No, why would you say that, Kazu? I'm jealous. Kudo, why are you sad? You got Blade? How is he? I lose a little shorty, right? Did you lose your 50-50? Canada, probably. I like it. You come to Canada? I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada too. Can family build? That's exciting. And then you complete the Forgotten Hall, right? It's calm. It depends on the area you go to Canada. If you go to Canada, don't go to downtown Toronto. That area That area is overhyped and not as calm as you think. Let me sneeze. Excuse me. That's exactly why. No, I got better instead. Oh. But that's still okay. Give me the Tian Blade. Is he worth keep going for? Should I crack my skull and spend money if I lose by 50-50? Well, I'm not going to downtown. No, sir. Don't go Vancouver, scurry. No, Vancouver? What's wrong with it? Go to the capital. What is it? Ottawa? Quebec? Those are fun. There's a lot of crackheads giving gadget quests there. What? Downtown? Huh? Sir? Look, this is Kieran reminding you of the future bots. Hi, Kieran. I fed them. Well, they're not here, at least, so. Aw. Really? 5? Thank you, Kieran, for the 5 months resub. How are you? How have you been? Do you feel any better from yesterday? And once the mod comes, I'll give them food, but I don't think any of them are here now. I know B's still sleeping. Faye, she's somewhere. Olivia, I don't know where Olivia is, Loki. I lost Olivia. And that's all. I only have 3 mods. Telling me to collect goblin knives from the dungeon at restaurants. Dungeon at Cube? I think. I don't know what.
Close quarters unit online. Assessing
What restaurants you're going to.
cutting force tower.
No, you def should not spend money. Only if you really want him. But he looks pretty. And his voice actor. I played him when I was playing his character last night in the game. I was holding my breath. I was biting my finger. I was doing the Debbie Ryan hair tuck. Skull emoji. What's that one, girl? Wicked? You evil? I knew you were evil. Kieran the Thinker. It is Kieran the Thinker. You know, Kieran tried to get me to think the other day. I'm like, hey, sir, listen. I am much of a thinker myself. I hate this site. This entrance is so ass. Oh. That was my fault. I'm sorry, Brimstone.
Last player
I
standing.
think I have different ideas of crackheads in Canada. What is your idea of crackheads in Canada, Cube? Is that my title now? Yeah,
Don't wanna take
the
you
Thinker.
outside, but I got
Because
up.
you're thinking so much. Now you're Kieran the Thinker. I think it's a great title. Ahaha. I dropped $100 in Star Rail once and now I'm a thinker. It was only $100? I swear it was more. Low key.
Watch and learn.
That goes there.
Smoke down.
Might push C.
C's this, right?
C.
If you're not free to play, you're a thinker.
Spike planted.
Now we're cooking.
Still inside.
Damn. If she would have right clicked me, I would have been dead.
Left.
No.
Brim 1.
No more charges left.
Brim 78. What's up?
Honestly,
Punch us in the teeth.
I'm dead. Hi, Dad. It's nice to meet you. My name is Kozume. You can call me Kozu. Can they actually?
Ready for close quarters.
I call those people's friends.
Unit actuation validated.
Are you're a crackhead too, Kudo? Don't worry. We'll still accept you. Just the way you
We
are.
are ready for them. This goes here.
Treat you no different than— oh, Miss Reina, don't leave. I got separation anxiety.
See again.
No. I don't see
Oh,
anyone.
maybe not.
Du, du, du.
Oh, B.
Spike planted.
Annihilated?
Reloading.
Get shitted on.
Reloading. Enemy spotted.
Stim beacon down.
Here. I must wait a moment.
Don't insult me.
Oh, KJ? Oh,
Reloading.
it's people that sell you potions made out of rats. Blech. Ew. Out of rats? I was crazy once. Crazy? They locked me in a room full of rats. Love the rats. I don't think you should drink that, mainly because that seems highly unsanitary.
Wow, this is a nice spot.
Huh? Not yet. Not yet. Did you get a cold cozy? Do I sound cold? I don't think so. I feel fine. And maybe because I didn't, oh fuck, I can't speak. I woke up not too long ago. And when I wake up, I'm always congested, like my nose and stuff like that. But I'm not sick now.
Spike planted.
At least I hope not. Oh! No! Oh, I see. No, I mean you're sniffling. Oh! My nose ran away from me, low key. That bitch told me goodbye. I'm like, no, don't leave me. It left me.
Last player
I can't
standing.
breathe. No, not yet. Bro, I've been researching everything needed to move to Japan. It's too early right now, but I want to be prepared.
One enemy remaining.
Kazu, if you're not 20 or 25 yet, I think you're safe.
Out of charges.
Oh no.
Stim beacon down.
But I mean, you're just excited. And that's understandable.
My fault. I tried.
Yes, sir.
You didn't try hard enough.
If you must leave, then live well.
I see. Yes, sir.
Wait, Evan, were you playing Euro last game?
Oh, yeah, I was.
Oh
It
shit.
was pretty crazy, huh?
Crazy, I was
Doing
crazy.
a little
Once
bit
you
better
locked
now.
in a room full of rats.
Yeah.
A room above a room full of rats. That makes me crazy.
That goes there.
Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room above a room full of rats. The hardest part is gonna be saving up enough money, and I live in Cali. California girls are unforgettable days. You know what you do, Kazu? Just save $100 a month, whenever applicable. How does he have that thing already? Again?
Spike planted.
It didn't shoot. Well, I guess no one's coming for me. Makes sense.
Gotcha.
It's crazy. It's gonna be
Last
hard.
player standing.
You got this.
Killjoy tree.
I feel like it'll be hard, but if you like,
Enemy
since you
remaining.
like have like, what's the word
Might
called?
be by those crates.
He's gonna ult. Oh no.
Oh, my fault.
Yes, sir.
Since you have like a goal and a dream, and you're fairly young as well,
Guns. It's
You
just
have
good crime scene
time and abilities. You know,
Alright, I'm gonna peek that up, see how it goes.
to prepare.
Warning. This unit not intended for commercial use.
Like at least now you can start saving up a little bit of monies,
This goes
and then when you
here.
get older you can save more monies. Crazy? I was crazy once you like in the mood for the spell reds. I think you should buy crazy could but like in a good way. It's like, who said it? When they
Alright,
say
you
like
go
all
up.
the best people are
40 on them.
crazy.
Is
That's you. You're the best people that's. Oh, shit. You're the best people that's crazy.
Spike planted.
Here.
Munitions expended.
My ultimate is ready. Where is everyone hiding?
Last player standing.
Okay. Makes sense. Grandma Coco giving advice.
One enemy
Sir,
remaining.
yes, sir. Oh no! Wait not! Nice.
Don't rush me.
Maybe
You
it's
got it,
because I'm a
nice. And go
Virgo.
get the op that Brim dropped.
Clutch.
We're just.
You should stop trying.
Oh, is that the. That's a dragon op? Ain't no way.
That was impressive. Mexico represent.
Mexico? Raina's from Mexico?
Thank you.
Who wants the top?
Okay, sir.
Assessing
It's
blade
fun.
integrity. Complete.
Giving advice.
Cutting full
Especially when it comes to money, because me myself, I don't save money. Depending on the year, I'm not a money saver.
Yes, this should do.
So whenever I can give money on saving advice on saving money.
You should run.
It feels wonderful too.
Come on, let's go.
Spike planted.
So if you want to go first, you can go for it.
Gun here.
Cage triggered.
Reloading.
Cage triggered.
Someone's A.
Alright.
One enemy remaining.
Don't interrupt.
Nice. Nice.
Spike the fuse.
Oh, I suspect you. We're gonna see how the Phantom goes. If the Phantom doesn't go well, then
I need a drop.
it's not a Phantom. Why do you need a job when you have so much money?
Yo, and it's the same Phoenix? Alright. See everything. Man.
Ah, this is a nice spot.
Yo, Loki, if you were Brim last game, we might would have won. We probably would have won.
Probably.
Dad, my camera is destroyed.
Might be C.
Caught one. Cage triggered. One dead.
My fault.
Oh no! He's 35!
Spike planted.
My ult's not ready. There.
Oh. You know, I'm so confused as to how Gecko's probably collecting all orbs.
See ya.
Cause he, Deadass always has his
Grim apple.
ult,
Enemy spotted C.
but he only has 7 kills.
One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Deep breaths, everyone. Your hearts are pounding.
Maybe today is a Phantom day. Maybe it's a both day. You know when you're playing a game and
data is subject to protocol review.
you're using something you don't normally use, you're just like, maybe this is better than I expected. And then you keep using it and then it doesn't go as well as expected.
That goes there.
Oh shit.
This goes here.
I need a new place to place this camp. Brim.
They going B. Possibly.
How did you smoke there?
Gotta pick A.
Unit actuation validated.
I'm going. There's two C.
114 Gecko.
Found you. Here.
Phoenix, I thought you were going the other way.
Continue.
My ultimate is ready. Where is everyone hiding?
No.
Spike planted.
Oh no.
Assessing blade integrity. Complete. Ready for close quarters engagement. Close quarters unit online.
I'm like around the corner and they're gonna be there. Oh. I'm running.
One enemy
Bitch.
remaining.
Oh.
Wonderful. It's great to see how frightened they are.
It went over his head. Is this a spinny gun? You know what's been fun? If you like did this and it kept spinning, like in one thing, so you have to keep pressing it. It look like they fight crime on the daily when they do that. Smirk is a bit counterintuitive, isn't it?
You should run.
She has her ult again.
Careful now. Tag. Camera taken out.
Spike planted.
Cage triggered.
55, 57, 34 on Gecko and Brim.
Cage triggered.
One enemy remaining. Where are infect?
Oh no. Why am I being pushed? Fade!
My ultimate ready.
Good thing they picked up the op. I didn't want to pick that up. I like this gun.
New tactics, keep it fresh, yeah?
New fight, new tactics, keep it for shit.
Talk about you.
Your combat data is subject to protocol.
Alright, sir, yes sir.
Unit actuation validated.
You know what's been fun to hydrate with? Coffee.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
Oh my.
Okay, let's get set up.
I'm supposed to say my water bottle feels kind of light. Well, thank you for the high. Oh,
My eyes are down.
there's a bit. Let's see.
It might be B. It smoked B.
They found my wire. We got cage triggered. Here.
Sleep.
Make sure you hydrate too, Karen.
Spike planted.
That little bitch still alive?
Cage triggered.
Brim hit like 30.
No! I want the gun still.
120 KJ.
Where are you? Marked one. Push a button. Save the day. Reloading.
What if they do double up? Is that the Araxis?
Last round before the
You know what I hope they do? I hope they bring back the Araxis.
Use it.
Cutting force tower.
Cause that gun, impeccable.
Assessing blade integrity.
They really ate with that one.
Complete.
That goes dead. No more charges left.
I'm gonna buy. Oh, I was gonna buy you. Red zone!
Spike
Spike
I
down
bombed
A.
it.
You will not kill my allies.
Alright. You freaking they rotate.
Cage triggered.
Get out of my way.
Cage triggered.
Oh, he's just going for it. Indeed, sir. See? No, I don't see anyone see.
Here.
B.
Spike planting.
Brim is on A. Doors. Or yeah, you see.
One enemy remaining.
Nice.
My ultimate is ready.
Good
Here.
stuff.
Where is everyone hiding?
Oh, she's back there.
Switching sides.
Match point. Imagine if it was a 13 though. Have you ever guys? The music. Have you guys ever experienced like a full sweep in the game?
No more charges left.
I didn't buy.
Yes, this should do.
Teddy bear. What's your elephant?
Retire there, Brimstone.
This guy is like me for real.
Reloading. Reloading.
Alright. Go Phoenix.
Caught one.
Oh,
Here.
We'll catch them.
Here.
there's one at the
Camera
back.
taken out.
I'm just gonna plant.
One enemy remaining.
Planted the spike.
Flawless.
Why? Look at that.
Reloading.
I find them.
I missed it.
Simple as that.
E.
This goes here.
We missed the oh my god thingies. If you guys know K-pop, there's like the little statues that look like they're doing the oh my god dance by New Jeans.
Where are
God.
Reloading.
There's one play. Oh my god, I should do
Planted the spike.
it 24.
One enemy remaining.
And I know. Imagine she goes from up top. Oh, they're watching up top.
Flawless.
Alright.
They will scurry. And then they will die.
Do I have a... Actually...
Oh, this is a nice spot.
Can I? No.
Don't hold back. Launching smoke.
Find you.
As I feel like... You know what? I feel like one would be enough. Oh, they knew you checked this time. I don't recommend going there.
He's on your
Picking up guns,
probably
picking
on
up
your
guns.
right.
They found my wire.
Why would you go there?
Spike down A.
player standing.
No!
Flawless.
The symphony of death. Don't worry, you get used to
You
it.
get used to it. Why don't we go here?
Here.
Why do we keep going C? Or like,
I said we
or
go B.
yeah. This side? Yes.
I need a drop.
Survive.
He needs a job. We don't have money.
Fully smoked. Enemy spotted B.
Still in sight. Cutting the loop.
Stim beacon here.
This is another oh my gosh one. Oh my, oh my. Oh my god. Oh, who's it?
Careful now.
40 on Killjoy.
One enemy remaining.
Oh shit. Phoenix.
Nah, she's other side of the door. She just spams open.
Oh my god. This is just enough. I was really hoping that it be
Match point.
shocking. What's shocking, sir?
Let's do it.
What has you flabbergasted? What has you shaking in your shoes? Shivering in your timbers?
That goes there.
Have you finally realized that you're making something the wrong way?
This goes here.
No, you're cooking? You don't like my cooking? Well, that's a bit rude, isn't it? Think you can just go around talking shit about my cooking?
They found my wire.
I know my shit sometimes burnt, but I'm trying,
Shit, back
yeah.
side.
Goodbye.
You're just jealous I'm a better cook than you. Oh, you did it.
Let's
I
go,
can
let's
take-
go. We won. Let's go.
Oh, you sound so
I ranked down,
excited.
but I'm gonna rank up.
Sad. No, I said you are cooking. You're surprised that I'm doing good. You know what? I'm surprised too, innit? Wow, you made it halfway. You know, the way you phrased the sentence, Kazu, it's a bit... You reckon it's a bit... out of the ordinary? I want this. This I want. Look at it. It has a scar on his face. It's so cute. In it, bruv. In it. You reckon this next game gonna be just as good? Are they gonna say reckon? You reckon? Oh, top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. How did this dude do better? What? Oh, is it because he got more assists? It's because he got more assists, isn't it? I was just hitting my shots low key. Who knows? That is true. See, Kazu, that's why you should start playing Valorant. So then you can play comp and speak in a British accent. I can't. Does he stuff like? What's that? I forgot why he said you couldn't. Oh yeah, because you got motion sickness.
Match found.
If you get motion sickness, just don't move and get hella motion sickness. Imagine someone like, oh, you got motion sickness? Then why don't you just stop moving?
Hey team, anyone got a mic?
Hi.
The kids. I'm about to die. Ellie almost threw up after playing for. Oh no! It's like that meme where it's just like, I threw up. Just make your sensitivity slower. You may not be able to hit your shots, but you know.
Okay, if I play Fina.
Yeah. It may not be conventional, but you know, it works, isn't it? Have you downloaded any other games, Kazu? Like any like slow games or like farming skims? Farming skims? That makes sense. Have you become a little farmer? You have your land on the ground. Oh, they don't. Oh, they do have smoke. They have brimstone. It's sad, isn't it? They become a British accent. Just say in it, I reckon, bruv. No. Nice. A book of water.
When I'm done, there'll be nothing.
Damn, that's a lot of words. I can play anything else but first-person games. Can you play Fortnite? Fortnite is not first person. You've been trying to reach you concerning your vehicle. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, but I don't want you. You don't want to become a build master? You don't want to crank 90s on these hoes? You don't want to crank 40s and 50s? And 85s and 180s?
Alright, we good like that.
Watch your eyes! Brimstone's out. Reload him.
What did he have? A simple classic.
Yours lit.
Cutting through. Reload him.
Over there.
Oh no,
Player standing.
bruv. You reckon I could do that? Oh, bruv, you got this. You got this, little
I
one.
better trickle him.
Nice try. It's not that hard once you get started. Just grab a controller and you're basically halfway there. Ain't no way. Ain't yes way. Oh, you want me to hold this bike? Alright. If you're a controller player, you're basically halfway there. Play on keyboard, I mean you can probably, but it's a bit difficult, isn't it?
Careful now.
I wish I didn't have the spike, simply
Outside for
because...
setup here, I heard someone moving.
No escape.
Decoy.
Dead fool.
110 Viper. Not Viper, sorry, Cypher.
One enemy remaining.
Cutting through.
Toxin screen down. Spike planted.
Last
Oh,
player
shit.
standing.
No! I did not see his line. Would we change the color of the outline?
Clutch.
There should be like a little, not filter, a little thingy where it changes the outline of the color. Like you can have a default, color outline for each map, and it changes when you switch maps. Instead of you have to change it yourself. Hello. Hey Natalie. Hello. How are you? Hello. Hello, love. How are you? I'm sorry.
Doors there.
I heard my toes in it. Oh shit. Oh, Phoenix.
Last player standing.
Oh, you're. I'm not gonna swear. This whole game, I'm not gonna swear. Oh, Spike's around the corner. Jam? You like this music, cousin?
My ultimate's ready.
Oh! What did that? Oh!
Enemy remaining.
Oh, look at that. So cool.
Come on, let's go.
I didn't even know you could do that. You went around the corner. Should have picked up Spike.
30 seconds left.
Oh. Here's your location. Where's Spike? Oh, is it in the fucking teleporter? He's gonna
10
run.
seconds left.
Oh, yeah, you can get him. It's
My
about
bad, I
you,
couldn't even get the
Steve.
kill. I don't know what I was doing. My bad.
I smell cap.
I'll pick some up.
Cap
I
on
got
what?
carried away trying to kill him.
Oh, okay. Not swing. Nah, I can do it. You didn't believe me. Ain't no way. I can't even buy a gun. I'm broke. Yeah, how much you betting, Kazu? How much you betting?
Warning. This unit 9.
Did I get a kill arrow? I did. You put some money on it if you really about that life. Sage, now why would you go back there yourself? Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay.
Last player standing.
I put one chicken nugget. How about one chicken nugget and 500 points? Cause one chicken nugget, it don't seem too high stakes. He's literally doing the gritty. I feel like I need to plant the spike in a different site.
Alright, we got this, guys.
Keep your fire going, Phoenix.
Yes, sir. Oh? But then I'd be broke boy next round. Is it worth it? I don't think so. Can I? I can't. I'll do this instead.
Cutting through. Baked. I'll handle this.
80.
Toxins going up. Over there.
Is he hiding himself with his thingies?
Spike down A.
I know exactly where you are.
Last player standing. Last player standing.
What? Okay, 120 side freeze one time.
Oh, they all swung the same area. I feel like we need to play it earlier. Did I edit a bulldog? Maybe. Let's go this way. Oh, we're going that way. Alright.
Who's next?
Enemy spotted.
Oh, what?
How did he just jump up there? He really rocked all of us.
Last player standing.
No!
Spike down, attacker spawn. Flawless.
We're gonna lose everything we just won.
Them regret their choice of profession.
I think we're losing, guys. No shit. Sorry. Damn.
Ready for close quarters engagement.
Don't run.
Prepare for hellfire. Die.
My god.
Decoy. Time to jump.
There. Toxins going up. Planted.
I'm gonna peek this. I'm not gonna make it.
Toxin screen down. Fire in the hole!
How did I get the orb?
Last player standing.
Oh, my shots are not hitting. Miss! We just need one round at this point. Nothing else matters.
What will it be this time? Have any patterns emerged yet?
Any patterns emerge yet? Not too sure, ma'am.
Cutting force calibrated for combat application.
I think they want to go away. I even go further deeper? They're committed to the B. Yep. Oh?
Toxins going up.
I think this person's lagging. Oh, okay.
Toxin screen down.
Miss, I don't think that's the smartest spot to be.
Player standing.
They don't have time. Do they? Oh, they have time. Oh, they don't have time. I swear they had time. Here we go on.
They had their fun. Now it's my turn.
Or we can do Spectre, or we'll do Bulldog.
Let's go B.
Actually, I have my ult.
Sage.
Should I get Spectre Shorty? I don't know if it'll work, but you know.
Careful now. Who's next?
It's a probability.
Someone's beat. Cutting through.
I'm flashing.
Yep.
Toxins going up.
You saw right
Wait,
through
yes,
your
the
master
lava.
plan.
Toxin screen down.
Two.
Spike carrier killed.
You know, sometimes. Okay, sometimes. Okay, listen. Sometimes.
Last player standing.
Sometimes the ult doesn't kill the people, and they drop down. They drop down with their knives out.
Last round in the half.
Can't take anything with us after this. Go for broke.
Which makes it possible for them to still kill you if they can pull out their other gun fast enough.
Assessing blade integrity. Complete. Your combat data is subject to protocol review.
Oh, okay, makes sense. Oh. It makes sense, isn't it? I mean, his thingy is not completely the same.
Here.
Okay.
I know exactly.
Oh, nice. Look at them go.
Come on, let's go.
Spotted A.
104 kill. 104 kill.
You reckon they should have still planted there? You are powerless. Yeah, Miss Ma'am is the only one that has enough util. This guy's got a classic and a dream.
One enemy remaining.
And I feel like they're gonna run away to give not give Phoenix the ace. So I mean we have another round on the board. Oh, we got
Oh, let's go! Woo!
You can come against I.
it.
Switching sides.
There we go.
Important than words on a brief
A surrender vote.
for each other.
No, it's still Ray. I still don't know walls for A. A scares me. I think I'm gonna put down the wrong wall. I don't know if you guys have this when you play games, you feel like you're gonna do the wrong thing and then someone's gonna like yell at you. I think I'm gonna put down like the wrong wall, someone's gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? It's not the right wall. I'm like, hey, I'm Skillet. I'm trying to prevent them from getting onto the site.
Toxins going up. They're A, I think. Or no.
Here.
They're A, they're A.
Here.
Toxin screen
down. Spike planted.
No, they're not.
You just said they're A. Here.
Eliminate.
You thought
Toxins going up.
no.
So it must be like.
If I play any team games, I mute them all. Straight off the bat, Kazu.
Target spotted. A.
You mute them straight off the bat. Honestly, that's understandable though.
Remember that.
What's up, C's Koga? Hi, Kaz. Oh, I have a gift. I got a gift shop. I think you did. I remember at the beginning of the month, they were going crazy, and they gave a lot of gift subs to people. Oh, hi, Kaz. How are you? Yeah, I don't be talking to randoms. Honestly, I could learn a thing or two from you, Kazu. Me, on the other hand, I never listened to my parents when they said don't talk to strangers on the internet. I think we can now see that. You move back.
Spike down.
Hi, Harry. How are you? How was your rest? How have you been?
Toxins going up.
How are the kids?
Hostile down.
Nice, with Kozu and Kaz in one room. Yes, sir. Double K's.
Screen down.
No surprises.
Double
Oh, I do.
trouble.
Oh, here's Spike. Alright.
Spike planted.
You know what 2Ks make? Captain Crunch.
Bro, you
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Hey,
My bad. I didn't spawn. Alright.
There we go.
Flawless.
You see that? How do you call that?
Just come back from the gym. You getting those gains in? I thought you were sore from work yesterday. You're better than I am. I work out sometimes, and then for like 2 months straight, I was like, nah, working out's not for me. And then I go back to working out. What'd you work on today? Is it fun? You get a spotter, bro? I can be your gym spotter. What does 3 make? Don't say that. Don't say what? Oh, Monkey S. Oh shit. Kaz, you didn't realize? That's why I just said 2Ks.
toxins going up.
Alright, they're B. Spike
Down
is B.
B.
Spike's down B. Spike's down B. Go B. Go B.
Well, there was someone A. We're not just gonna run B when there's one person A. That means they can flank
Screen
us.
down.
Have you heard of flanks?
The rotating suits CT now.
There's a spike. Oh. The teleport
Spike
is.
planted.
Oh, wait, we should have rotated.
Toxins going up.
No, we're not gonna have time. You know why?
Tom.
Oh, you're a bitch. Well, guess what? I get it! 63!
One enemy remaining. Pull them to their grave. Reeling them in.
Nice. Good job. Good job. Good shots. Good shots.
Are there 5 miles on the Stairmaster? Having these jokes. Stairmaster?
Not straight.
Doesn't that hurt your legs?
Look them in the eyes when you kill them.
You know why Stairmaster is good? Because it works your legs and your thighs, and you know what saves lives? Stick thighs. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Alright, be back when they can be back. Alright, guys. Thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you soon. I'm glad. See, Kazu, I'm glad you agree with me. You and that. This is why our brains we think alike.
Smoke stand B.
'Cause you know when people, actually, I'm not gonna finish like that. Yes, my legs hurt so much. Did you stretch?
Some B.
Have those stretching? Oh no! Oh, guess what? That ain't gonna stop me. 'Cause guess why? Oh, that was Sage.
Enemy
Toxins going up.
Have those stretching their
I
legs.
just like.
Toxin screen down.
Oh, you're a bitch.
last player
That's why
standing.
your mom hates you.
Satisfying.
Sadness, isn't it?
Cypher's lit.
Cypher's low. He's got like 65 health.
30 seconds left.
You know what's a cute gun buddy? That one. I really want that gun buddy.
One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Hold down spike next time.
Too
10
far?
seconds left.
What's too far? Did I say something? I'm sorry.
Nice. Good job. Good job. Good job.
Not just your healer.
It wasn't me, I promise.
Time to stock back up.
It was the voices in your head. I'm innocent. I'm just a baby.
Sage, can you buy me? Buy you next round.
You know, it'd be fun trying to squish a watermelon. You know when people do those challenges where they try to squish a watermelon between their legs? Imagine how cool that can be. They're just like, oh, so what's your skills? I could crush watermelons with my legs. You're just like, what? I'm like, yeah. She's a smooth apple. Oh shit! Sorry, Kazu. I failed the challenge a long time ago. Haha. Say, oh, there's one elbow. One elbow.
Your duty is
The voices in your head.
Going up.
Voices in your head.
one enemy
I'm telling
remaining.
you. To steal that kiss candy. Do you think you could crush a watermelon with your thighs? In my prime days, possibly. Now, it depends on how big the watermelon is.
30 seconds left.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Definitely depends on how big the watermelon is.
Spike planted.
Oh, we don't.
Do you think you could do that, Kazu? I see, yeah. Cause I did boxing at one point for a few years. And so at that time, yes. Cause you know, you're pretty active. Right now though, no. Cause I only work out
Alright,
casually.
let's go.
With my legs, no, but with my arms, probably. Oh, did you skip out on leg day?
Anyone need something?
Have you been skipping out on leg day, Kazu? Should I ask him to buy me? I feel bad. I'll ask next round. Who knows? Sir, please don't turn into those people that have like a big built upper body, but like your lower body's just in the proportions, they're not proportioning. Please don't be unproportionate.
Someone's B. Prepare for hellfire.
117 million.
Tails wall.
Fire in the hole!
Nice.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Spike down B.
I'm gonna cry.
Nice try, nice try.
No, it wasn't a nice try. I'm gonna be so sad.
My priorities, they're suffering.
You saw that shot on the Yoru, but then on the I'm disappointed. I wanna crush your watermelon. Good thing I work legs. Why don't you crush your watermelon, Harry? You want to crush it? You should crush it. I'll send you how much are watermelons over there? I'll send you 20 doubloons to buy a watermelon. Nah, I don't think I am. Let me go check in the mirror. Yeah. Go check Kazu, then you know what to work next.
I know exactly where you are.
Alright, he knows where we are.
Toxins going up.
You reckon he's rotating? Oh, you're a bitch! Then I can eat it. Oh, I don't know, like $4.
Match point.
How much is it Canadian? I'll send you $6. Actually, I'll send you 10. Then you could do whatever you want with the change. Don't need she's a smooth operator. Smooth operator. They've been going. Oh, is Sage gonna wall that off? I'm gonna stick with them B. Because you know why? They've been going B a lot. Unless they. Oh, see? Told you. Oh. Yo, why would you push it?
Warning. This unit not intended for
Sage,
commercial
Sage,
use.
stay there. Why would you run? Do you not hear anyone either? Right?
114 your.
Spike down A.
That's rotates A with Sage. Sage is spike.
Where was it? Was it A? I completely thought it was B. I'm gonna be straight up with you.
Spike down A. Thirty seconds left.
Target spotted A. Target spotted A.
One enemy remaining.
Good job, good job, good job.
That was a bit nerve-wracking, isn't it? Mage Punk.
Don't stop fighting. You must keep going.
Buy illegal substances? For $4? My ping's not high. If you do that with the money, I'm coming over there with my slippers and slapping you upside the head. Disrespectfully. I would say my body is fairly proportionate. I really do go. Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You got those sleeper build. You got those naturally thick thighs. That makes. I see what you mean, cousin. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yo, please. Okay, good. Yo, no. I'm gonna keep watching here. I'm envisioning what you're envisioning.
Who's next?
How the hell is he up here?
No charges left.
I didn't buy it. Oh. They're rotated. I feel like having a sleeper build is a blessing and a curse. Imagine someone wants to fight you and they pull up on you, just like they think you're not a threat to them. But then you like hit him with a 1-2 punch and then like Sage, you knock him out. And they're just like, whoa dude, I wasn't expecting you to be punched that hard.
Last player standing.
Play time.
Oh? Empty.
Attackers
Okay, tight. If we lose more than 20, this game's a scam. That's all I'm saying. I feel like we're gonna lose 22. I'm scared. This game's a scam. We're gonna wait a couple seconds. Fighting would be the last thing I do. I have no enemies. Honestly, cousin, you think that? And then one day, someone pulls up to you and they're just like, hey you, over there. And it's like, me? It's like, yeah, you. Aren't you Ice Kazu Latte on Twitch? And you're just like, yeah, why? And it's just like, I have beef with you. You're just like, why do you have beef with me? It's always the people that you least expect. And then next thing you know, you're having at it with a random dude on the ground. Would you not? You know the people who like fight you because like you're doing so well, but it's like they fight you because they're jealous. No, I'll be that guy. No, why would I say my username IRL? I don't know. Maybe someone just somehow knows what you look like IRL. See, Harry said he'll be that guy. So like just randomly.
Match found.
I have beef with you for no reason. See? You're welcome, Kazu. I got you first.
You guys mind if I play Jet?
Sure.
It's another child. Where are
My
they?
bad if I don't hear you because one of my friends is very screaming very loudly.
Okay, baby.
Should I dodge? If you guys tell me to dodge, I'm gonna dodge right now. You reckon I should dodge? You?
Could you play a initiator controller, please?
Should I dodge? Where's initiator controller? Initiator?
Alright, yeah, that's good.
So then who are you gonna play? I would uninstall. So dodge? Maybe this might be good. Maybe this might actually go well. If I lose, then why you wake up? Why did I wake up? Honestly, I ask myself that every day. Maybe this might be good. We give it the benefit of the doubt. I would uninstall too, probably. I'd bathe my computer in bleach and wash my ears out with boiling hot water. No alarm clock needed. My hatred for Valor players weak. You hate me? I didn't know you hated me. Why did we have to have... How... Who's gonna watch our flank? Keep that in mind. No, you're different, Miss Cozy. Aw. Yay.
If they detonate that thing,
I'm
this place
different
is
than
done
other
for.
Valorant players.
That's our world's been through enough, yeah?
They're lucky I know how to play Sky. Or else it would have went to shit. But what's that? It's an LOL? I thought that said OF. I was like, you have an OnlyFans? Oh my gosh. Case Void of Chaos. That is such a cute ass name. I ain't gonna front. I like that name. Thank you for the follow. Can I call you K? Thank you for joining the corner. My name is Kozume. You could call me Kozu. If you'd like to just lurk, that's alright. If you wanna chat, we'll always love to have you in chat.
Yeah, I think there'll be. Yeah, I'll be.
Blinded.
I got a kill.
Colorful kill.
Nice. Good picks.
No! My eyes! Bitch. Bitch!
Spike down.
Oh!
B.
Dirty on Reyna.
Shit. On God. Bro, why didn't you actually...
Enemy remaining.
Shit, bro.
Player standing.
Shit, bro. No!
Nice shot.
What? Huh? What happened? Hello, I use the system. Alrighty, you can call me Kay.
Let's win and get out of here.
Welcome, Kay. It's lovely to meet you.
Kind of spiked to 100.
How are you? Do you play Valorant? Do you play the lovely shooter game we call Valorant? Skull emoji time sent to the forward.
Ready for close quarters engagement.
I didn't say anything cause you didn't hear me. Me? You think I'd say something like that? Ain't no way, bro.
Grenade. Time to hunt.
Did they wall A?
Yes.
Can someone make her?
Can someone what? They're speaking in terms I don't understand.
Good picks.
Why not?
Spike planted.
Why would y'all push that?
Hawk out. Blinded.
Huh? I love your model, yes. Thank you.
Here.
I'm glad you like it. There's like a whole story behind it that I like telling people. That's such a cute crosshair. I can't type.
Reloading.
I got it.
I'm a Spike Rush addict. Oh. What has you coming back to play Spike Rush, K?
You're stubborn.
Is there something about Spike Rush that just hits different? Or just do other modes games? The other game modes scare you? Lovely, fuck this game. Haru, you said you're addicted to this game. Respectfully, same. It's okay. We don't have to talk trash about it. We can play together. We can always play together.
Time to hunt.
Okay, can you guys like please step back so I can heal you?
Yeah.
Por favor.
Sky, I'm gonna need some heals, please.
Yeah, come back.
I think they're rotating.
Squad.
Yeah.
They're rotating. Rotating.
Thank you, Sky.
No worries.
Hawk out. Blinded.
Where are they? You guys?
Oh. I'm scared. Miss Jet, help me.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Spike down A.
Out of healing. I'm gonna risk myself.
30 seconds left.
What the fuck?
One enemy remaining.
It's quick and easy.
Good stuff, guys.
I won't say it just because you're new, and I like you. If you get a sucky team, you don't. That is honestly so true.
Next round, next.
Bro, I hit that fade 9 times in the legs.
Comp does scare me though.
If I die
Honestly,
this round, I'm gonna opt next round.
K, don't play comp. K, whatever you do, save yourself. Don't play comp.
I'm gonna double satchel him.
It'll hurt your soul, your
Alright.
spirits, everything.
Wale.
Okay, then BBB. I'm at AA.
Mid.
1 minute.
Blinded.
Oh shit! He's 80! Sad, isn't it? Understandable. When I first had to get off after losing a comp game with a teammate, asked if he was a... What?
Kinda still me mother.
I was like, ain't no way. I never will. Yeah, don't.
When,
You'll be a better person. It's the thing with...
Fades hit 100.
With these games, people are not afraid to say anything, cause it's like, oh,
Oh my god.
it's like the internet, and
When Reina gets started, it's hard to stop her. I'd like to avoid
they have that blocker for them. Call me off of work. Here, tell them that you have a child that needs fucking assistance in Canada, and if they need proof that someone's in Canada, I can put on my best housewife voice. And that tell them that little Timmy was playing a game of Valorant, but he got to
I
like
think mid, baby. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
probably.
someone needs to
It's
shoot
better,
that.
switch.
Okay. Makes sense.
Oh my god. Abilities don't kill.
And install Riot client, your life will change. No, keep it installed. Keep it installed. Listen. Keep it installed. You go to the game and you mute everyone, right? And then once you mute everyone,
Reina, can I get a buy? Or Omen?
your life is changed
Can I get a buy?
for the better.
Thanks.
Close quarters unit online. Unit actuation validated.
And you can still enjoy the game. Find like a friend or two that you can play Valorant with.
Complete. Warning.
Wale.
Okay. Be careful mid. Yeah, mid.
Is it A? Mid?
Yeah, I think
Is
so.
it?
Yeah.
Something's wrong with me this game.
Spike down A.
One
Enemy remaining.
Nice. Good job, guys.
Nice. And you wanted that?
I installed Riot client and my relationship fell apart, so it did change. Oh no.
Wait, do you have the cowboy one?
See? Oh no.
No, I just picked it up.
Cause you have to specify it's positive change. He means only positive change, not negative.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch with the op.
Sorry to hear that
I'm
happened.
gonna watch it.
At least now
Who's next?
your mental's better, but you still play Valorant.
Guy don't.
Give me a second, sir. I don't hear anyone, so it's a waste of a fucking dog. I'm sorry. That was me for no reason. Don't play Valorant. It turns you into a mean person. Especially Cobb.
Be
Cobb is...
careful, Heaven. Yeah.
Oh! He's on oh, nice. I lost my gun.
Rotate me? I got a kill.
He like me.
Face your
Oh.
fear!
One enemy remaining.
Maybe the crosshair is the thing. Maybe it's the crosshair. You reckon we get
One-
more kills
110.
if we switch to his crosshair?
He's really low. Nice, guys.
Sorry, I'm just toxic. That is true.
My ult's not ready. Supposed to be fighting back, right?
But that's not the point here.
Sky,
I'm gonna go A this time.
Sky, I can buy you if you want to sell.
Help a girl out, would ya?
Oh, we're the same out. Thank you. Aww,
Application.
the raise is so nice.
It's here, it's here.
Oh shit. Oh, the whole team died.
Seek them out.
Honestly, sometimes forget I have my ult.
Found one.
3 for 3.
Spike planted. Last
Three
player
for three.
standing.
Oh my god, 80. Don't want to miss.
One secret.
Where's secret? Oh, that's secret.
2 main, 1 secret. Last one.
Blinded. Sleep talk.
Nice shot.
Nice.
Thank you.
At least you didn't get the ace.
Yeah.
Sorry. Ears still ring.
Okay, I'll be looking. Good luck on the rest of the game. Thank you, Kazu. Thank you for stopping by. I hope your lit goes well.
Need a drop.
Yo, Jay, you want to double opt that?
Find the weak point
What?
and break it.
Sure.
Okay.
Um,
I was so confused. Thank you for the alert, Kazu. Oh shit.
Spike planted.
What? Bongo cat. We love Bongo cat. The shots just completely didn't hit. Oh my gosh.
oh my god.
Last player standing.
Oh no.
We shouldn't have double opt.
Oh,
Y'all double opt? Stand Bongo cat for clear skin.
Just save, just save.
What if, you know how Raina's name is Pumpkin, right? What if they had a person they played with and their name was Patch? I think I Millie rocked. Like, give it 2 seconds. And then their name would have been Pumpkin Patrick.
I'm gonna save this round.
actually, yeah, me too. And can I get a buy?
Unit actuation validated.
What if Raina? The Raina's not saving.
Time to hunt.
It's B.
Okay, Patrick. Oh, I'm sorry. Dance? You like this hair? Well, I guess I can't agree. Honestly, that was your fault.
What, 50
I
on
could have
that?
healed him. But guess what I had to do? Anchor A.
Blinded.
I know where one is. Defuse.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah,
Just a
that's
few
good.
sticks.
That's what I'm doing.
Nice, good job, guys.
I got the op for you, Jet.
These kids are making me a bit more upset than they should.
Your rolls and we'll crush it.
You can have it if you want.
Do you want me to send you the thingy, Harry? I copied the link. Might mean I'll paste it.
Don't peek a.
Sure. Alright.
Cutting force calibrated for combat application.
Who's next?
They can cuss.
Yo,
Here.
this home.
No! Got one.
One enemy remaining.
You saw.
That is-
Nice, good job.
I'm still hungry.
Last round before the switch.
Spend everything.
'80s and '90s city pop. It's actually really good.
Can one go B?
Give me a second, sir.
Ready for close quarters engagement. Warning, this unit not intended for commercial use.
It's here.
Seek them out.
It's like we're little buddies. Come on, vamonos. Everybody, let's go.
Spike planted.
Blinded.
Oh yeah!
Plan for long.
One enemy
I
Focus on
can't.
planting.
My ult's ready.
Can you focus on killing and clearing sight?
Focus on
Spot planted.
Nice, good job.
Who's Soraya? Hello, who's Soraya?
Have any splints?
Soraya?
My fingers.
You know, I honestly don't know how people don't like know how to say it. Maybe my English skills are just Englishing. But hello, who's Soraya? My name's Kozma, you can call me Kozu. I'm your agnostic at Genshin. Well, I don't really play Genshin that much. Valorant and Mihoyo vs game player. It's lovely to meet you.
Time to hunt.
Nice.
Makes sense. Drink water. Amica, please.
Found one.
People are so impatient in this game.
There's another.
One enemy remaining.
Like, as they see the second to get onto site, you know? But they just expect you to already be onto site by the time they look at it. And it's like, bro,
Race into the spike site.
I'm not that fast.
Spike's here.
Can I get your fence?
Hi, Jayden. Are you happy?
Okay. Thank you.
Trample them.
Tramp. Respectfully,
Guy, it looks like you're having a tough day.
just step on their necks. It depends on the game.
Yeah.
Welcome to
Add it
my
in
house.
your own day.
Yeah,
I don't know
let's
if you
rotate.
That's weird.
Trying to be nice or relatable.
Oh my god, my game's lagging.
Enemy spotted.
Oh, makes sense. It's for your case. Fuji K is the best man to have been born. I know.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Satchel out. Satchel out.
Nice, good job.
Clutch.
Oh my god.
Pride of my
I didn't die.
Your hearts are pounding.
We can hard push B. I'm all.
Alright.
Look at.
here. Scout destroy.
I got mine.
Nice.
I traded myself.
Look out.
You can prepare that.
Who's next?
See if you can play.
Oh, makes sense.
Last player standing.
Oh, flank.
See, if I was Cypher, I could have watched her flanks.
One enemy remaining.
Oh,
Nice.
I think he's on spike. You can blind it. Oh, nice shot.
you distracted him, innit? It's Matsuri. This song, if you
I'm
guys
not
need a
This
need
one?
a song Listen to Matsuri by Fuji Case.
Look your enemy in the eye. It helps with accuracy.
That song never fails to make someone smile.
Wait, Omen, do you have
Who
your
has,
ult?
Yes, I do.
who has the champions phantom? Or Vandal? Right now, do you have the champions phantom?
Need a drop.
Thank you.
Can I get it too?
Don't give them ground. Multiple enemies B.
Is it? Oh shit. Oh, how'd you still get me? Oh,
He is so low,
legit.
131, bro.
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
Someone protect me, please.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Alright. Oh, shit.
Spike down B.
I got the spot.
Last player standing.
No!
One enemy remaining.
She's 80. I got type.
I have the spike.
30 seconds left.
You reckon he wins these? Oh,
Nice shot.
NT, brother.
I should have moved, my bad.
Reloading. Charges.
We can go A and then if
If Viper ults,
if we can
Viper
rotate,
ults
you
me-
can ultimate to B and then plant.
I didn't know people in lower levels speak this much.
This is gonna be fun.
Oh,
When we plant, just
I
hold
missed
it.
it.
Just hold spike. Alright.
I can not hear you. Play quiet, play quiet. Nobody's here.
Cover going out.
Push.
Fade is back there.
Stealing sight.
Reina, excuse me.
Okay, I'm gonna watch flying.
78 on Viper.
Hawk out. Blinded.
They're Reyna DC'd.
Hey?
They're both there. I hit 43 fade.
Okay, okay, we play time.
Just hold spike, yeah. Just hold.
Hawk out. Blinded.
Hold it, hold it.
You didn't hear him on Spike?
That's stolen.
Bro, there's no way.
Hell, I did.
How about we play B? And how about we play B, see if we can play for long?
Oh. Yeah, if we can't get it, Omen, can you go?
Because I have an op, and if they don't Viper ult, then we're pretty good.
If
Plus
you
I have-
die, Reed, we're gonna be like shambles.
A cup
Yeah. I'm gonna
It
play
makes my head hurt. I'm not too sure how people can play COD for hours on end.
back. I got
It's not for the faint of heart. Oh?
I'm gonna play back because I'm
Face your
see if you
fear.
guys
My ult's ready.
clap for long.
Wait, you should oh wait, no. Yeah, let's rotate now.
Wait, did they? Wait,
How
they didn't
does-
all. Wait, they didn't all you.
No, nobody's on there. Wait, no, hold
Assessing blade integrity. Complete. Warning. This unit not intended for commercial use.
So people who mentally and physically have stamina to just keep going.
Is subject to protocol.
I'm not people's.
Yeah, they're out.
Enemy spotted A. Reloading.
One enemy remaining.
Reloading.
Before we won, guys. Play nice.
Nice, good stuff, guys.
Does she have a gun?
Okay, since they don't have Viper ult, let's see if we can play
Match
vegan.
point.
Did she ult and then switch? I feel like she ulted and then switched sides. Cause it's like she ulted and then only rotated and then there was no more ult.
Whoever has spike, can you plant here so we have a better angle so we can hold better?
Can my dog go out? Yay.
Scout destroyed.
Swing this with me.
Enemy spotted B. Healing over here.
Oh wait, I'm gonna play long.
Healer. What?
Fade is one tap.
Oh? She didn't
I
get
hit Fade 100.
One enemy remaining.
Nice. Good stuff.
yours 80.
Just hold that.
Minus 80.
Raise, hold it. He has Odin. Hold it.
Mrs. has what? I got 60, 80.
He's not flanking.
Yeah, just
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
My bad.
Oh, nice.
I didn't mean.
Good job.
GG's, guys.
Yay.
My ult's not ready.
Let's go.
Fun. Reina, you're bad. Aw. Why are they so mean to Miss Reina? What did Miss Reina do? Should I play another comp game? Should we go even and see how? Because even if we lose, we're not going anywhere if we lose. I know as much as I talk shit saying I don't want to play, I kind of want to play. We'll play one more. And if it doesn't go well, we'll leave there. If it goes well, then we'll see what happens afterwards. We can't promise anything. I do though want more points. I want to get this guy. But I don't think that's being accomplished today. Breakfast is neat. Would you make for breakfast? What's for breakfast? I hope you made eggs. I'm craving eggs. Eggs sound good right now. A bagel and a project. Is this cinnamon raisin bagel?
Match found.
You know what you should try here? Cinnamon raisin bagel with salmon cream cheese. It sounds weird. Not bind again. We lost on bind. Who do I play? We already have smokes. Do I play Killjoy? Sadly, no. That's good. You've tried it before? KO? I play KO? I'm not too sure how to play KO. We already have an initiator though. Should I play? I'll play Killjoy. I'll play KO next game. I'll play KO next game. Does I already have an initiator? Oh, don't be sad. I'll play him for sure next game. Next game will be... We'll see if Nicey hits my last one. will it definitely play him? I don't know how to play. How many times? I think I've played KO twice. He gets a little nerve-wracking because his dives, I don't know how to use his knives, bro. It's either it hits or it goes off the map. There's never an in-between. His flashes, I like his flash. But if you like pop his flash and then look up to like the ceiling and it flashes other people, but it doesn't flash you as long, would that work? I think he could be a character where you can be very chaotic with and very up and out of the ordinary, still get kills. What the hell is this song? I don't know. Oh, I've never listened to this playlist.
There's truth in every dream. If you dig deep
I'm
enough.
not.
Let's find out what they buried.
This one. I love him. What? Oh, we know that. True. He's like an almost duelist. Honestly, he could be a duelist. It's like the way you can play him. Play him like a duelist, it'll confuse the fuck out of people. Your team will have no duelists, and then the other teams could be like, hell yeah, they got no duelists, we got this. And then fucking the KO player is just in your face all the time. You say some these nuts? You need to make a joke too. Give me your best these nuts jokes, Cube.
Spike planted. Calling my bot.
What's right now? Oh, chamber. Haha, bitch.
Last player
For
standing.
good luck.
Shower.
My finger! What's your favorite type of boba tea? Tea's not, huh? Oh, you just asking? I really like jasmine milk tea or oolong milk tea. There's another one that has like a really kind of complex name to it. I think it's a Chinese tea as well. That one's really good. No! Brimstone! Ah! What's your favorite type of bubble tea, Cube?
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out.
Mine's just these nuts tea. That's my best these nuts joke. What? That makes absolute no sense. But I like it, bitch. You saw it. I like that one. Brimstone? Brimstone?
One enemy remaining.
Go Brimstone, go Brimstone, go. Oh, oh, oh! He disappeared. Is that his class? Oh,
Reload.
oh.
30 seconds
It's
left.
VGK's again. But that sounds nice. I never had boba. You never had boba? A special move is drag. Oh my goodness gracious.
Plenty of fun to be had.
B-man, these nuts. Right? That's what I said. Have you heard about the new dragon? Oh my gosh. Hi B. How are you? Cube, I can't believe you fought for the dragon one.
Ready for close quarters engagement.
Keep your heads on. Sentry.
Wait, there's another one. Do you want
Alarm bomb.
both of? I'll get you a bucket of boba. Yeah. And then you can make your own. Actually no, there's actually a bucket of boba, he told me. Both of what? Teehee, both of these nuts in your mouth.
Recalling my bot. Bring them down.
I was surprised if no one goes B. Ew.
Spike down. A.
Yeah, I totally didn't do it on purpose, Teehee. Oh my gosh. You Teehees and Uwoos and everything. Just, they make. I thought I made people question their sanity.
One enemy.
Haha, bitch.
Shoot the bad guys. How's that for a plan?
OMG, I fell for it again. I'm such a. You the type of person to be like Debbie right here. It's like I'm such a silly goose. Respectfully, I'm gonna put you on timeout. You'd be like, oh no, don't put me on timeout. I've just been such a silly boy. No, please, no.
Placing alarm bot. Placing swarm grenade.
It's the only decent jokes I got. And that's it because it is my. Have a good night, Perry.
Swarm grenade out.
No! Shazee! I'm sorry. I'll try not to yell. LMAO, I do it because it's cringe. It makes me laugh. It's. Oh, like, it is. But, like. It's a type of cringe that, like. You never expect it to happen, but it happens. And it's just like you thought that was the only thing on TikTok, that it only happened on TikTok. But it doesn't only just happen on TikToks. You're the type of person, Cube, you're the type of person that when you type, you know how when they type and they go like when they stutter? You stutter your texts. Unironically. Backcombs impression? Oh no. Oh no. I can't do backcombs today. I need a voice changer. Yeah. Today. Yeah, I can't. Nah, bro. I'm sorry. Do you take back your points? I can't back cozy today. That Kozu needs to take more testosterone.
Joke's over! You're dead!
Target destroyed. Swarm grenade out.
Hello. No, Bad Kozu can't. Bad Kozu's not here today. Do you want Bad Kozu picture? Is that allowed? I guess that's sufficient. They're rotating.
Here. Can't use that yet. Bot coming back. Here. That's done.
Spike planted.
No! Bitch. I teabag on your grave.
Bomb grenade out.
Enemy spotted
One enemy remaining.
Sorry to spoil the party. Western choice. It is so
Oh no, no, I never do that again. It's too much work for me. It's too much work, but that's the funniest out of all of them. Takes a lot of work for the reactions. Oh, the reactions my favorite.
Turn out.
I was just like, I'm so sorry. I didn't. I'm not making fun of people who stutter, because I stutter myself, but like the unironic ones, where people do it to be cringe, that's what I'm making fun of.
Warning. This unit not intended.
I want to see Backhouse Justice. Backhouse Justice. Alright. Oh. I can't get it deep enough. Oh, this is already too high placed.
Spike planted.
Bitch!
My ultimate is ready.
Bitch! No!
Last player standing.
Chamber. Here's your back, Cozy. Hello. Oh, there it is. Oh. She's kind of here. Chamber needs to hurry up, cause this ain't it.
One enemy remaining.
You slowed yourself. Oh. 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 Well. That's the thing. I like making people cringe, but then when I start it's like your cringe level tolerance cube is a lot higher than everyone else's. So when everyone else cringes is okay, but when you start to cringe, that's how you know shit's gotten bad.
Placing sentry. Placing alarm bot. Placing swarm grenade.
Yeah, so it makes me cringe, and that's horrible. My life mission would be to try and make you cringe.
Spike down A.
And they give it up. Brimstone, you got him.
Recalling my bot. Bot coming back.
Nice shot. Oh shit, sorry. Come on, Brimstone, come on. Like that booty over there.
Spikes here. Goodbye. Multiple enemies A.
I'm gonna push. You know what I want? A Popeyes biscuit.
One enemy remaining. Spike down A.
Swarm grenade out.
Take aim, Zenfire. Let's not complicate it.
I used to watch TikTok cringe compilations when eating, and I don't cringe, I just laugh. You're the type of person that, like, you watch scary movies.
Champa, do you want to go tower? I'm gonna go down there.
Okay. You watch horror movies, even though you don't get scared.
Placing alarm bot. Placing swarm grenade.
You watch it for fun. No, I don't think you can. You're too close to it. Aw. Oh man. I really wanted to make you cringe. Bitch.
Spike down A.
No one else try to take it. This is mine. Oh, he knows my location. Can't take it.
Turrets destroyed.
Ah! Sucks. I got Spike.
Fully smoked. Stim beacon here.
I love this Brimstone. This Brimstone and I are best friends. We're having soft tacos later.
One enemy remaining.
Brimstone.
30 seconds left.
We're having soft tacos. Oh?
Turret out.
You reckon he's scared? Or not scared, but like
10
he's
seconds
saving.
left.
Having soft tacos later. So thank you.
One dream ends, another begins.
It's too cool to make me cringe. What if I become hot? Like I change my temperature. Then will you cringe? Let's go to B. Scary movies give me paranoia rather than scare me. Ah. So you like watch a scary movie then think there's like someone hiding under your bed or like in your bathroom? And like you close all of your like your doors, and, like the closet door, stuff like that. I don't like watching them yet. Ah, I see. Oh, hi. Honestly, mood. As someone who's easily scared, I'll swing him. Oh shit! Sorry, Fane. Don't you dare. Reina, I told you not to. Guys! I think it makes my schizophrenia active. Oh no! Which is not good. That's no bueno.
One enemy remaining.
Reina! Reina! Oh. What type of movies do you like watching? Do you guys like? Oh! Get it. LOL, the lasting effect of horror movies is the worst. Do you watch horror movies, B?
Close quarters unit online.
I said to imagine
This unit not intended for commercial use.
you like see a shadow and think it's the outline of a person. But then really that shadow's been there all the time. It's just not because you watched a horror movie. You overthink it. And now all of a sudden you think there's a ghost in your house. Should I collect? Oh shit, I can't collect that orb. Well, that's no fun. That's no fun. You know my location. Room's down. You know what they do? You peek the corner like this. And they'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? Peek in the corner.
Begins.
Craziest peek you've ever seen. Oh god, bro. Oh. No, I was watching the plot. But I like horror movies slash games because of the story. B, when you do your next 12-hour stream, you should play through an entire horror movie.
Spike planted. Last player standing.
Or chamber. Miss Reina, I think you should save. No saves, just save, just save. I haven't watched a movie for a while, but I watch comedy movies the most. Comedy movies are really fun. Do you guys know there was like this dude as a kid? His name was Mr. Bean, and he did a lot of comedy movies and stuff like that. He was an icon.
Turret out. Placing alarm bot. Placing swarm grenade.
One of my favorite is the Scary Movie. It's actually called The Scary Movie.
Killed my bot. Here.
Miss Reina, why'd you leave me?
Turret destroyed.
Oh, well. I love Mr. Bean. He's pretty. You know Mr. Bean too? And Mr. Bean is so amazing.
Spike planted.
Yeah, like they just make fun of famous farm movies, like parodies. Like parody movies? Really? That's kind of exciting.
Last round in the half.
Halftime. Don't save a thing.
Right time, don't save a thing. They parody movies, scary movies. Scary movie is so funny, really. So scary movies not actually scary, it's just comedy movies. Hope. Hope.
Placing alarm bot. Placing swarm grenade.
And guess what? Every time we sit up there, no one comes B. See? And they'll get like actual good actors. Oh! Snoop Dogg and Eminem. Really? They got Grandpappy Snoops. I'm scared! Whipstone! 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 Or something that's just funny. The one with Kevin Hart, but they had Kevin Hart too. Reina, you can die. Come on now. Guys.
One enemy remaining.
We're gonna switch this up. Scary movie 3, 4, 5.
Wash up, man. Keep fighting. Rest is overrated.
There's Snoop Dogg, Lindsay Lohan, Simon, Ashley Tisdale. They had Ashley Tisdale? Ain't no way, bro. Ashley Tisdale. I miss Ashley Tisdale. They have every big actor that accepted. Imagine, I guess because it's like something that people thought was really cool. And so they, if they got offered it, they like accepted, so to say.
Reloading.
Reloading.
Oh, Fade is watching something. Alright. Okay. Makes sense.
One enemy remaining.
That reminds me of High School Musical. You guys remember High School Musical?
Don't stress if I die. It was great knowing you all. Also, delete my hard drive.
Oh, it's a fun movie. What if you play just a Vandal? You reckon I should run in with a Vandal?
Ready for close quarters engagement.
They wouldn't expect it. No, I'll do Bulldog. I'll do Bulldog. It may be bad, like if I lose. But guess what? I won't lose.
Enemy spotted B.
Placing sentry.
Oh,
Down.
got him. Took a whole mag, but you know. Oh,
Still in sight.
Reina, I had a bulldog. Oh, okay. Don't take it. Don't take it. Take it. Excuse me.
Spike down B.
This was my childhood. Did you have a favorite one, Q?
Last player
School
standing.
Musical. Said we gotta take a... High School Musical was so beautiful. It was unrealistic as fuck, but it was amazing.
30 seconds left.
Who trained you?
One enemy remaining.
Oh, you don't have time to rotate. Why don't you smoke it off? Why did he smoke? NT, I'll give you a nice try.
My smokes can block the enemy's line of sight. Once they're blind, we move.
It would have been smart for him to smoke it off. Probably would have wondered.
Assessing blade integrity. Complete. Unit actuation validated.
B, did I call you Cube? Did I get your names mixed up? I hope I didn't. If I did, apologies. My brain is fucking all over the place. Chamber? Wow. The songs in 2 is the best. 2 is great. Oh, that doesn't fully spray. Oh my gosh. I forgot that was a burst gun. Like story-wise, they were meh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just completely, I think I read yours and then saw Cube's name afterwards, and then I thought Cube said it.
Load your mags and let's get back out there.
Apologies, sir. I didn't mean it. I think story-wise, we all ate it up as kids because, you know, we were kids. But can I actually?
We can't keep doing the same things.
Do this instead.
I'll find you.
Good job. Okay, guess you're ready.
Smoke's down. Trap destroyed.
Alarm bot out.
But otherwise, oh, makes sense. We ate it up because we were kids, and as kids, we're not focusing on like whether something's like really good or something. It's just, you know.
Deep breaths, everyone. Your hearts are pounding.
Here.
We'll do this. If I die, Edie, what did he about?
Your combat data is subject to protocol review.
And the new duelist. They even gonna know what to expect.
Placing alarm bot.
There.
Placing swarm grenade. Bring them down.
Miss, I don't really want to stand behind you.
Reloading.
Oh, what? It's because I kept moving. Have you seen Cinema Sins on YouTube? Cinema Sins? What is Cinema Sins?
Spike down A.
Don't die. If you need help figuring out how, just ask.
Tell me more about my headphones are almost done.
Anyone feeling generous? Teşekkürler. Thank you.
I probably might head out after this one simply because my headphones are about to die. Oh my gosh. It's funny how they tear apart the story. Are they the type? Is it like the sort of like they break down different stories and things like Oh, 145, bro, he was one off. Bro, he was one shot off. I'm actually so upset. Let's switch it up. See, Cinema Sins.
Fire in the hole! Last player standing. Spike down B.
Cinema Sins is a YouTube channel created by Jeremy Scott and Chris or however you pronounce that. The channel produces the Everything Wrong With. Oh.
One enemy remaining.
There. Nice. You see, I'm so happy so that they got their ace. Even though the last skill was like a 5 thingy. Yeah, they break down how badass unrealistic movies are. That's honestly really cool. Cause like a lot of movies are fantasized and like romanticized and stuff like that. Have they broke down High School Musical? It's still a Phantom. Last beat. Steve isn't even over yet. I guess it's smart you're taking advantage of it now. I respect the hustle.
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out.
Who's next?
Spikes down.
Oh. Ma'am? Didn't you say last game? That is true. But stream hasn't even end. We don't even know when this game's gonna end. It's my first time doing it.
Last player standing.
Miss Reina? I'm glad you're enjoying it and having fun.
One enemy remaining. My ultimate.
But normally, like, you guys, nobody does it when it's like close to the end of stream, you know? Half the time is done within like the first hour. I don't know how to set like a time limit to it. I was able to kill raise. I'm gonna do this instead.
Cutting force calibrated for combat application.
B, when are you gonna stream next? I need another Wasabi stream. But it's only a one-time redeem. Yeah, that's true. But like, I figured out how to set it to where it can only be redeemed once. But like, I don't know if there's ability to set it so you can only redeem it at like a certain time. Oh shit, he's 105. Hello, Elsie, just do it. That is true. I don't know when I'm stream next. Oh no! Reyna? You have to warn me in advance. So, when you do, I can be there.
Everyone makes fun of German efficiency. Ha ha.
Haha.
Just keep laughing as you use all my gear.
The music. Oh no, it's back. Please don't stop the music.
Does anyone have funds?
Does anyone have funds? Oh, Reyna does. Honestly, Chamber, I don't think Reyna's gonna buy you. I'm gonna be 110%. Oh, he's going for it. Ghost Chamber, go. Oh, oh, oh. Mr. Chamber! Oh shit. You notice that a lot of characters, their mollies and stuff like that are like... Oh, makes sense. Their mollies and stuff like that are C. Like Viper mollies are C, Cajun mollies are C. Raises, what's the thing called? Grenade is C. Oh no.
Match point.
Who am I kidding? My knees are gonna kill after
It's
this.
gonna kill after this. I can't even buy a Vandal. Oh, let's use one. I'm exactly out of monies. Can I buy a Spectre and the heavy shields? I can't even do that, you know. Kudo? Hi, Kudo. Welcome back. It makes sense, though. Otherwise it might be confusing playing different agents. Yeah. Is any utility to do with the circle?
Spike down B.
Can I? That won't reach far. Any utility to do with the circle? Goes at that spot. Which makes a lot of sense.
Garden.
Oh, they talk. They talk. Oh. I lost the gun! Sad, isn't it? I don't got monies. I can still do this. I got her legs though. I got her legs though. This whole aesthetic, like, of red guns matches my little Batman aesthetic.
Ready for close quarters engagement. Focus. Warning. This unit not intended for commercial use.
You reckon we go showers with brimstone? Okay, they're going showers with brimstone. Brimstone! Oh, the whole showers. Vase, I'm gonna be 100 with you.
One enemy remaining.
Vase never not Vase. Reyna. Never heals. It confuses me. Oh.
Nowhere to run.
Okay, sir. Oh, he sure was. Or this a U-Haul? I'm playing Dragon Ball Kakarot because it's funny. What's that? Kakarot? Kakarot? No! Sad in it.
Clutch. Defenders win.
Is this an anime game? Ah. The name just sounds funny. The name sounds pretty funny. How much you guys think we're gonna lose? I think like 15 or 20. 14. Okay, that's not too bad. We ended up where we started. So yeah, we went pretty. There's 40, 46, 44. We earned 2 RR today. Still something, you know? One more. Bro, my headphones are about to die. How much percent are they? Yeah, I don't think my headphones are gonna make it through. But I mean, I played it on... Should I play Spike Rush? Did the music stop? I'll play a Spike Rush. We'll do a Spike Rush and then I'll head out. 'Cause I don't think my headphones are gonna make it through an entire game. The music.
Match found.
Icebox. Here's how to play KO. You play KO. The Gem Reaper? The Gem Reaper. Hold hands. No, sorry, sir. That's not allowed. Excuse me. Holding hands is against the rules. I'm thirsty. My throat is dry as fuck. Illegal? What's illegal? The Grim Reaper? Hand holding? Oh yeah. It's very illegal. If the cops see you doing it in public, then you know you're definitely getting arrested. I don't make the rules. I wish it wasn't illegal, but you know. Instead of hand holding, you gotta like touch fingers or look at each other. That's the only way you can consent to physical touch or physical pinky holding. Honestly, pinky holding is cute as fuck. I love pinky holding. It takes off the pressure of like hand holding, especially if you get like sweaty hands. But at this, it also like you still have like that form of like connection. People who don't like pinky holdings are type of good. Oh! No! Understandable? Whoa, eye contact? That's too much. For real? Y'all don't like eye contact?
Player standing.
What if you look at them with one eye? Like you cover one eye and you just look with one eye. Does that take off the eye contact pressure? Dude, what the fuck? I wanted to use the only Frenzies. If both eyes are too much, do one eye. If one eye is too much, then stand in each other's presence. Ha! Ha! Oh! Flash! Haha! He's gotta come back for it, right? Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh. Flash. Oh. He's one. Are they looking at me?
30 seconds left.
If yes, that's too much. That's the whole point of eye contact. What do you mean are they looking at me? Of course they're looking at you. What if they wear glasses and when they're looking at you they're not wearing their glasses? Does that change anything?
10 seconds left. One enemy remaining.
So then technically they can't see you. You know? Oh, here's a safer spray.
Last round before the switch.
Let us use our sight to our advantage.
Unit actuation validated.
Stare? No, Kudo, we're not staring. We're just looking and making eye contact.
Hold the line.
Staring is rude.
Knife deployed.
Staring and pointing is...
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
No surprises.
Spike planted.
So Ray.
I know exactly where you are.
Last player standing.
He saw him. Sad? Don't be sad. Why are you sad?
Switching sides.
Being sad is not good.
The enemy only looks composed.
We don't allow people to be sad here. I forgot I had my knife. Sorry! Shit. That went off the map.
One enemy remaining.
I'm gonna be 100 with you.
Assessing blade integrity. Suppress it.
He's not in the area, at least.
Flash. There. Cooling down. Flashbang. Is that the best you've got?
Sir, what type of emotes are that?
The symphony of death.
You confuse me. Are you in your feels? Oh, pain. Why are you in pain? In Spain without the S. I'm on my way.
Knife deployed.
My ult's ready.
My eyes.
Last player standing.
How did he get all the way over there? You see, this will be
30 seconds
smart.
left.
Spike planted.
I don't know if the play is completely smart. Because at least your thing matches your
I
outfit.
know exactly
Having
where you are.
to watch where it is a bit confusing. Are you dancing? You like this song? It's pretty fun. What if as soon as he stand up, he like falls off? Oh, they're dancing. That's cute.
Match point. Give me a moment. I need to fill back up.
Cutting force calibrated for
I need to settle the shop. I'm gonna throw this knife. It's gonna land. Ready?
shutting them down.
Fire in the hole!
Walks away.
You saw it! Go, Miss Race.
Enemy spotted A.
My shots! Ah! Ah!
Player standing.
Ah! No, Cypher!
Defenders win.
Who's next?
That was fun. Alright. I think it's gonna be it for me for today. My brain's outvalued. It was a cool day. I mean, we got 2 RR. We gained 2. In comparison to, like, can't end on a loss. Of course we can. That is the best way to end. On a loss. Sad? Kudo, why are you sad? Don't be sad. I'll be back. Don't worry. I think ending on the loss is the best way because then you can go and like kind of reflect on what you did incorrectly. And angry, sir, you have no right to be angry with me. You can think about the stuff you did, how you performed, how you're gonna improve. You know, it's the best way. match. Ciao! Anyways, guys, I am gonna stream again on Thursday because I work tomorrow and Friday. Maybe I'll stream on Saturday, who knows? Damn, why do you have so many upset emojis? God damn. The game we're gonna play, I might play, we could play Melatonin or Unpacking again. Maybe like a bunch of like smaller like little games, so to say, because I was gonna play, or we can get back into Genshin. Why? Because I'm also hungry. I'm gonna go eat. He has 84 emotes? God damn. Maybe we'll play Genshin again. Kind of like reminisce on old times. But I'll stream for the show on Thursday. We'll see if I stream on Saturday, but that will be decided then. Thank you guys for stopping by, for chatting with me. It was lovely getting to talk with all of you and playing a bunch of games. Kieran streaming. Oh my gosh, guess what? We're gonna raid Kieran. No wonder he wasn't saying anything. We're gonna raid Kieran. You guys know Kieran. Thank you for stream. Thank you for stopping by, B. It was lovely chatting with you. You guys know Kieran, the thinker. He's been here, he's chilling. So we're gonna raid him. I think he's playing Jump King or whatever. Dead? What is that? Raid? Yeah. He's really kind, he's really lovely. We love Kieran. How do I do this again? Stream manager. Go say hi. Tell him he's in. Actually, don't tell him he's. I don't know. We're just gonna go. We're gonna say hi. We're gonna have a fun time, and it's gonna be amazing. And he's also at 100, almost at 100 followers. He's playing Jump King. Okay, yeah. He's almost at 100 followers, which is exciting. So we're gonna go. We're gonna say hi. Make sure to be on your best behavior. Have fun. I will see you guys on Thursday. Thank you for stopping by. And yeah, bye bye.